Hello, Internet, and welcome once again the free-to-play cast. We're recording on February 23rd. You're watching it on the 25th or later. This is episode 171. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka magicman from MMObomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. We've got news, we've got opinions, we've got your news and your opinions, so we'll be sure to get through all of it. But before we get started here, let's introduce today's panel. Miss Quintlin Bowers, a.k.a. Q, how are you?
I'm good.
Succinct and to the point.
Exactly.
She was playing some Walking Dead. It was short, but it satisfied her.
Exactly.
And we'll let you throw in your own That's What She Says. Jason Winter, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. Tell me, did you get the dog bark there at the start of the
I did not. It was muted. But thanks for pointing out a flaw. The viewers aren't going to know it was...
it's perfect time. As soon as you started going live, the logo came over here. Roof.
Just one.
Just one, yeah.
Yep, we're all set. No dog bark at the beginning of the show because I was muted.
But there probably will be more.
Yeah, there probably will be more. She's going nuts up there. My son's due home from school in the next 10 minutes, so yeah, she'll go nuts when my son comes home. Quick announcement before we head on over to the news. No free-to-play cast next week. Actually, there probably won't be too much video production besides free-to-play weekly at all going on next week because it is officially moving week. Yay! I close on the new house on Tuesday morning, so I'll be around Monday, but no cast because we won't be set. Q and Jason will still be doing their news and giveaways and stuff, so of course come on over and check out the news and everything they're posting, but no cast next week. We'll see you 2 weeks from now, and hopefully it won't be a black backdrop for me anymore. With the new office layout does not include a hot water tank in the background.
You gotta get a green screen or get like a big monitor or something. Have a game going on back there.
Well, I do have a green screen, but I never opted to use that just because I thought I kind of think those are a little tacky.
Let's say go with the monitor. Go with the old game breaker monitor.
Well, I can't put a monitor right behind me where I'm at.
Yeah. Didn't Mike B, like, a while back, like, oh god, a couple of years back, talk about the death of the green screen in podcasting?
Oh, yeah, a.k.a. Mike B, a.k.a. Phony. He took it. He was actually on the show a number of times, and I said this to him. I was like, yeah, you know, when I was first starting, I was going to go by Mike B, but then I knew your content, so I was like, okay, well, I can't go by the Mike B. So then I was like, well, I'll be the phony, or the fake Mike B, but then realized that he's also a.k.a. Buckaphony, and I'm like, fuck! He's just taken every name. So there you go, Magic Man, since I saw Women in Half. Anyway, total digression. Let's get started with the news. Alright, so our first topic today comes from a viewer. Last week we talked a little bit on the show about viewers not only feel free to submit full topics to us if there's something you want us to talk about, but also you could come and be on the show, and we do have one that a viewer that is interested in coming on the show. I have not reached out to that viewer yet, so if you're watching this show, don't think I forgot you. With no show next week, there was really no point in starting to set anything up yet. But we are interested. I'll be in contact sometime in the next 2 weeks. So this comes from Wilfredo Rivera, a longtime contributor since 5 years back when we started this whole show. Would it be possible for you and the panel to talk about how to break new and first-time MMO players into MMOs? I think this would be a great topic, and more importantly, any stories about how you got someone to start playing MMOs, or how you taught someone to get into and help understand MMOs. This would be a great new show idea, too. MMO boot camp, so to speak. I don't know if it'd make a great show. I think it would initially, but then I think it just kind of, you hit everything you possibly can without getting game-specific at a certain point. Yeah, maybe. We'll consider it. But we've done this, Jason, you already know this. Anytime we've ever had guests on the show, the first thing we ask any guest is what game first got them into gaming, and then more directly, what game first got them into MMOs. So as a refresher here, let's start there, go around the panel with how we got into MMOs, what were the first ones that we really, really sunk some time into, and then maybe how we've converted a non-MMOer into an MMOer. Q?
It's actually kind of funny because when MMOs first became a thing and all my friends were playing MMOs, I had absolutely no interest in them whatsoever. My opinion of it being if I wanted to torture myself by playing games with other people, I'd just play board games. Literally. So I didn't start playing MMOs until I moved in with my last roommate, who was a heavy Eve player at the time. And he wasn't a member of a guild or anything else, so he just kind of did stuff on his own all the time, and I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, it looks really neat, whatever. So I just downloaded Eve one day and started playing. Um, so I mean, and I ended up in a corporation because somebody pinged me and was like, "Do you want to be in a corporation?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever." But it wasn't anything that I put really any thought or investment into, as far as like, oh, I'm gonna go play an MMO right now. I have to play with other people.
You just kind of fell into Eve Online.
Fell into Eve Online, and to be honest, I mostly played Eve by myself. I kind of preferred it that way. I got in, I did the tutorial, I went out to low sec and did what I wanted, and everybody pretty much ignored me.
How about on the RPG, MMO RPG front, World of Warcraft, what we kind of think of that stable, that genre?
Well, I mean, I guess the first RPG like version I tried to play was because my friend Aaron was bugging me to play Final Fantasy 11. So I think I tried that, and then I got into the beta for Lord of the Rings Online and some other stuff, and was actually starting to write about games at that time too. So that's really more or less why I hopped in. Was like I never actually just wanted to play with people. It was just like, oh, this is a really cool world. I want to go check out the world.
Ah.
My actual interest in playing with other people was always not very high, unless it was people I already knew.
I think you belong to the same camp Jason does there. Other people annoy him sometimes. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, that's the funny thing I was going to think about as I was trying to figure out, what to say here. I was thinking about my initial experiences with MMOs, and you wouldn't recognize me, man, because what I would suggest, first of all, I'd suggest, go play some dumb WoW clone where you just go kill 10 rats all the time. Even doing that was just enjoyable to me. That and grinding levels, I love doing that kind of stuff. And I can think of, because I also talk nowadays about how I think games, they shouldn't be as massive anymore. Like having 1,000 people around doesn't really contribute much more than having like a few dozen or something. But I can remember when I was first first time I ever really saw anybody play an MMO, I was visiting a friend, and he was playing Star Wars Galaxies. And he was walking around somewhere, and I was like, so all those other things, those are other people? Those are all other players somewhere at their computers? And he was like, yeah, man. And I can remember one of my first game was City of Heroes that I really got into, and it was the same thing. When I first got into that city, saw this huge city, saw all these people around, I was just fascinated by it. I loved just seeing all that stuff, all that activity going on. And yeah, nowadays I'm some old, crusty fart who gets annoyed by people. but I think that's
and grinding and leveling, all the things you used to like have just been drained from you.
Well, and it's probably because you've been doing that same sort of thing. MMO companies still try to make that same thing for like 10, 15 years, and there probably aren't as many people now who are so brand new to the stuff that they need to give them that really basic kind of stuff. I think it should have matured a little more than it actually has, but they're still trying to draw in this mythical person who's probably, well, nowadays people who are all in the cell phone game, mobile games. Maybe there's more of them now. They're trying to convert over to PC MMORPG players. But yeah, I mean, if someone is new to it, I think, at least for me, that was a big deal. Just knowing that there's this persistent world with thousands of people going on, all doing their things, and I contribute just in my small way by going and killing those 10 rats. That really meant a lot to me. That really felt like I was part of a bigger world.
Wow.
Yeah,
So for those of you watching the free-to-play cast, Jason wasn't always jaded. He earned it over time. He earned his jaded stripes. I actually, God, this is going to date things. Years and years and years and years ago, over a decade and a half ago, I worked at Best Buy. So I was aware of, and I was in the media department. Well, it's not called media anymore, but at the time it was. So I was well aware of EverQuest, World of Warcraft, that initial wave of the high-profile MMORPGs in stores. I could not afford a decent computer. I was strictly a console gamer, loved my consoles. and had no desire to save up money and build a computer or anything. Like, EverQuest looked interesting to me, but A, I knew my computer couldn't run it, and B, I was like, wait, you want me to pay every month to play this? Fuck you. I'm not, no. I'll buy it for $60 and play it. I'm not going to pay you every, why would I do that? That's dumb. You know, so that whole wave didn't appeal to me. Even though I kind of like the idea of fantasy world, I like RPGs, I would probably like this, but the first one I ever played, oh god, was EverQuest Online Adventures for the PlayStation 2. That's when Sony decided, let's try and take it and put it on the consoles, and they did that spin-off, EverQuest Online Adventures. I played that for all of 2 weeks after it came out. And it was just a bunch of us at Best Buy decided, oh, okay, we'll try this. And we enjoyed it. It was fun and everything, but I didn't enjoy it enough to really ever surmount that paying $15 a month idea. And so that was very short-lived. However, Final Fantasy XI came out for the consoles. That I was interested in for many reasons, and figured, okay, it's Final Fantasy, I'll pay $15 for a month or two and we'll see what happens. And I played it on the PlayStation 2 initially, the old PS2, so it was days of downloading, and when there were updates, it was half a day of updates. I played Final Fantasy XI forever. Forever. I graduated from the PS2 to the Xbox 360, and then eventually did get a PC that could play it, so my wife would now, instead of us taking turns on one account, she would have her own account on the PC, and I would play on the consoles. From there, kind of fell into World of Warcraft, just because that's what everybody else was playing. I came along there right around, right before the Lich King expansion, so it was just after Burning Crusade. So that's my path. It started sheerly on consoles. So I probably had some shitty experiences, but man, I loved my Final Fantasy XI. I would sit there.
What was your first PC MMO?
World of Warcraft.
Oh.
Not counting when I would play Final Fantasy XI on the computer, because the wife happened to already have started playing on the Xbox 360. It was World of Warcraft, and that was just because I liked Final Fantasy XI, and here's a game that is kind of like that type of genre, so why not check it out? And World of Warcraft, to be honest, I played in vanilla for a day and was like, no, forget it. It was too different from Final Fantasy XI, which was my norm, right? That was my norm at the time. So, but then came back in Burning Crusade and got my brother to pick it up, which we'll talk about in a second. And then it was World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XI for a while. So, yeah, that's a somewhat dating. So as far as getting a new player into an MMORPG, because there's all the parlance and the systems and all that fun stuff, not only did I get somebody that had never played an MMORPG into MMORPGs, I got somebody that wasn't a gamer directly into MMORPGs. My brother, who's only about a year and a half younger than I am, just was never a gamer. I mean, he'd sit and watch you play Mario Brothers or whatever, but he'd never played, didn't care to play, just liked watching, and that was it. He's a gamer voyeur. That's got to be a thing, right? If you Google that, that's got to be a thing.
Isn't that technically what Twitch is?
Yeah. Just with less porn. Not no porn, just less porn. But yeah, so I got him. I said, "Look, you gotta play this. I think you would love it." He's a techie guy. I mean, he works for IT at CMU, Carnegie Mellon University. So he's a very techie guy, and he just loved it, and became more engrossed in World of Warcraft than even I was. At the time, the only real way I think you can get a friend or a new MMOer into an MMO is to be willing to start over. I'm sorry, to me, I could be level 70 and say, hey, Jason, you've never played an MMO, jump in this game, I'll help you out. But to me, it was, you got to be willing to start over and roll a new character and level it up with them and stick to your, I'm only going to play this character when we're playing together. No cheating when they're at work and leveling up. You've got to stick together. I mean, that was the best way to do it, or I'm sure he would have ditched it long before then. With Eve, Q, I can't even imagine. I've tried to play Eve 2 or 3 different times, and even with the experience I have, I'm like, no, I can't take this. I just can't take this. This is too much. I can't imagine pulling a newbie into something like that.
Eve is a very particular, I think, kind of game. Like there's the entire joke that's not a joke about while you're playing Eve you need to have a book to read. I would literally set to doing something and even go do dishes. I mean, something like that. I would have the laptop in the kitchen, turn around, set it to do mining or whatever it is. Maybe I needed to go through several jump gates to get where I was going. Whatever it is I needed to do, I just set it to do it and then go do dishes or sweep or, get some housework done, maybe watch some TV, whatever it is I needed to do. So, I mean, it's a very particular game. You have to spend a lot of, and I think it's been years since I've been in it, and I know they did away with, like, the learning skills. I don't know if anybody remembers the learning skills. You have to learn these skills to actually be able to learn all of these skills with any sort of speed. So you have to get the learning skills down and then go do all the other stuff. They did away with stuff like that, so they did stuff to make it easier, but I had already, kind of moved on to other things before they did that.
What about you, Jason? How do you get a newbie in?
Well, I do agree with you in the notion that you should have characters who play together, but, and this is something I've heard like married couples do when they both want to get into a game. They do have characters like that, but then they also have they'll make an alt that they can just do whenever if the other person's not available, doesn't want to play, or so on. So that's one thing, is that if you want to make the character you only play with your friend is probably going to want to play more at some point, so they should have maybe another character that they can just do whatever they want. But yeah, in general, yeah, don't force them to play with you when you want to, and let them discover stuff. Definitely, don't lead them around.
Yes.
Because don't try to here you have to. This is how you get the XP the fastest or whatever. Just like I was talking about when I first got into City of Heroes and something, I would just wander and I would just look at the pretty buildings and I'll kill some random group of monsters over here just because I feel like it. Let them experience it themselves without worrying about maximizing their progress, getting them to max level as quickly as they want. If that's what they want to do, then sure, go ahead, help them out, tell them what to do, but let them try to lead as best you can.
Yeah, and I could have used the example of my wife, too, who cast viewers know her as Demina. She was never really a gamer, never owned a console. While we were dating, I bought her a PlayStation 1 way back when, but that was the only console she's ever owned. But she immediately latched onto Final Fantasy XI as well, and it was the same thing. It was because we were going through it together. At that time, I didn't know the lingo, the abbreviations, all the jargon or anything, so we were actually learning it together throughout that whole time. I remember the first time my brother and I, because Final Fantasy XI didn't really have dungeons, like that. I mean, later they did like Chains of Promathia and the Promies and stuff like that, which technically counts as a dungeon. But as we talk about them when we're talking about World of Warcraft and things like that, where are there dungeons, are there raids, that wasn't really a thing yet. I remember the first time my brother and I were level appropriate enough to run the Dead Mines in World of Warcraft. So we're in the high teens, right? And we ran that dungeon with a group of people that were, in their high teens. It wasn't, looking for group wasn't there yet. You just had to shout around and find people who wanted to do it. And when we were done, 40 minutes later, you're like, that shit was so intense. Now, it's just like, if you have a dungeon like that now, 40 minutes as a level 18 dungeon, we're panning the game for being too, ridiculous at early levels. But at that time, man, and I'm sure there's waves of nostalgia in my brain that are clouding my judgment on this big time. But at that time, he was at my house. We were like LAN partying it up, and we went outside to smoke, and we were like, oh my God, that was so intense. That was amazing. And when's the next one? Level 35, fudge. We got some leveling to do. So I dead on agree with you. You got to let them experience those things. You have all that nostalgia from your favorite titles way back when and the things you did. This is going to be their nostalgia point years down the road from now if they're thinking positively about this genre. So let them do that. Oh.
That's just a further example of what I'm talking about when I say that 10 years ago that sounded so amazing to me, and now it's like, God damn it. What, 40-minute level 18 dungeon? What the hell are you guys thinking?
It's actually kind of funny because what you were saying about the not leaving people around thing, that was one of the reasons. Like I said, I hopped into Eve by myself, but my friend Erin was, pestering me to play Final Fantasy XI. So when I got into it, she's like, all right, now go over here and do this. Go over here and then do this. Go over here and do this. And I'm like,
yeah.
This is not fun to me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing. Like, there's a reason why I will never be, a high-tier raider, because that sounds like work. Like, it sounds like I have to do something with people to, and it's kind of like that thing. It's like, okay, if we want to get in together and do something, that's totally cool. But if you're literally going to tell me exactly where I need to go to level up, I'm just gonna go do something else.
I think Final Fantasy XI, too, is obviously a very different beast from most MMORPGs out there, in that your friend was probably thinking they were doing you a favor, right? Because there's no quest marks over people's heads or anything like that. You're out there killing things and you get a bunch of bat wings. You have no idea, what do I do with these? It's not, somebody didn't send you to go do that. There's somebody in town in Sandoria that wants those bat wings, but if you don't talk to every NPC, you're not going to know that you can turn in bat wings there. So they probably thought they were doing you a favor, but that's like robbing you of, really, Final Fantasy XI just required you explored the world and talk to everybody, or you weren't going to do a thing.
And at the time, I was actually, like, that was really when I first started getting into PC gaming, too, because prior to that, the only PC game I think I'd played, like, seriously as a PC game, was American McGee's Alice. So, I mean...
I haven't played Alice in forever.
It's still, on my short list of amazing games.
Q's camera has frozen again. She's talking, but nothing is moving. There you are. There you go.
Just do that.
There you go. Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, with console games and stuff like that, I am playing Final Fantasy, especially. I was very used to going and talking to literally every character they had just to see what they had to say several times, and just they'd repeat themselves over and over again, but. It's not like I needed somebody to inform me where to go, that I needed to go talk to people in a game. Like, that's just kind of second nature from playing JRPGs.
Final words, Jason. Newbies in MMOs.
They're a good thing. And that's no, but seriously, I mean, you need new blood to write. I know everyone who's in a game, on some level, they hate seeing new people because they're always full of these stupid questions. They kill the monsters in the wrong order or whatever. They steal your kills, whatever. Just remember that you were a newbie once too, and you didn't know all this shit. So, be tolerant.
Q.
I mean, they don't bother me, so I just don't do what I do.
Newbies in MMOs, your advice: don't bother Q. Just leave her alone. If she needs help, she'll message you.
Oh my God,
she probably won't.
Please don't help me when I don't ask for help. That's worse.
My advice is find an IP that you know they're going to enjoy first. Don't try, because you like Final Fantasy. Jason's not a huge Final Fantasy guy. I would not try and pull him into Final Fantasy.
See, that's the other thing. I used to be a huge Final Fantasy guy.
Yeah,
so
to me,
about my past.
Find an IP or at least a setting that you're pretty sure your friend is going to dig. If they're into the whole martial arts thing, then maybe look at a Blade and Soul, or God forbid an Age of Wushu, Wulin, whatever. Find a setting they're going to be interested in and start from there and do things with them. Don't show them where it's at. And be ready to explain every fricking acronym. All right, moving on. Lots of updates coming up. Some are already out. Some are coming up in the future. Just want to briefly touch on them, get your take on them. The first one, I'll go first. Devilian got its new update with the Tempest class. Now, funny story on this one. I was going to do a bomb live stream of the Tempest 2 or 3 days before it actually released. They set up my account for access and said, go ahead and stream, whatever. So we set it all up. We advertised it, and then ironically, and boy did we have fun with this on the backside of things, talking in Skype, the three of us, the Devilian class was not unlocked on my account, even though it was unlocked to show up before it was for regular players. If I clicked on it, it had a padlock and a chain that said I had to purchase this class. So we, of course, started speculating that now Trion's latest monetization was to monetize press previews. That wasn't the case. We reached out, we contacted them. They weren't able to locate the error in time for the stream, but I got access to the Tempest maybe a day before the rest of the world when they finally fixed it. To me, kind of neat. Whirling Dervish, bunch of different blades. Meh. It's not enough to pull me back into Devilian, which I kind of dumped very quickly. But if you were looking for something new and you're a Devilian player, it's certainly going to be worth leveling for you to check out. It's an interesting little class with some cool abilities, but not enough for me to, oh man, I want to play this character to max level and see what happens. Either of you two, any thoughts on the Tempest? No? Alright.
I feel kind of the same as you. I mean, I looked at the trailer, but I was like, this isn't going to make me come in. It's not going to make people. I'm not going to be like, oh, now I want to play Devilian. Now they have this. It's like,
yep.
I mean, oh look, a character with blades.
That's so amazing.
I love every character I play carries blades, but still, oh, a character with blades. That'll get me in.
Speaking of blades, Blade and Soul is getting an update on March 2nd with the Warlock class. Now, if you're overseas, you've been playing the Warlock for quite some time now, but we're getting it. I gotta say, at least, kudos for getting it into the game on the Western Hemisphere here very quickly. That came pretty quick, so it's a month and a half, actually just over a month from launch, we're getting the update with the new class. I am hopeful that a lot of things wrong in the game right now also get addressed in the patches. A lot of people commenting that they're just bored. As soon as they hit level cap, the game became, nothing to do. And I do think that while that's a pro, Jason, there's probably a con here in that the new class is launching a month after the game launched, because everybody that's been playing it is at or near max level, and now all of a sudden when you're looking for people to do things at max level, all those people will be checking out the Warlock. So I don't know. There's pros and cons on this one, I think.
Well, there's ever a pro to there not being anything to do at max level. I don't know that I'll agree with it on that level.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a pro being that they released the class as early as they did. Okay. A con being maybe it's just a little too early.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like this were a totally new game. And granted, it sort of is, but it's actually more of it's a translation, whatever. It'd be one of those things where I'd say, well, it's not actually a new update. It's stuff they couldn't get in time for launch.
Right.
So they presented like to say, hey, look, new update. So yeah, I mean, it's a new class, just like the Devilian class. It's not necessarily going to make you go, oh well, now I'm going to play. So.
Yeah, I mean, even viewers, this was on our piece, Pippi said they need to release more PvE content after 1 week at max level. I feel like I don't have anything fun to do anymore except farming money for weapons and gear upgrades, which is insanely expensive. Ursa says it seriously sucks that they're releasing this class so soon after launch. It was just far enough out that players couldn't wait, but now nearly every single new character for the next month is just going to be a Warlock. They seriously couldn't just put in 1% more effort to have it ready a month sooner. They had literal years to prep the game. And there's few games that you can make that argument with that I'm going to agree with you on, but this is one of them. Maybe get that in there for launch. Good leveling and story, but when you hit max level, there's nothing to do except arena. Boring. While I do appreciate they're making up for the 3-year wait by bringing the game up to date as soon as they can, there's still a good few glaring issues they need to sort out. Hopefully once this update is out, they're a bit closer to matching the Asian clients in terms of content. They can tackle the current issues and make the game fully prepared for the large PvP esports scene that's sure to rise by resolving the majority of server issues. That's by Kotsu on the website.
I would never guarantee a PvP esport scene being sure to rise.
I would
go ahead, Q.
The thing about esports in anything is that, well, obviously one of the things they address there, right, like the servers and stuff need to be working right, but like for a good esports scene to arise out of any game, they really have to kind of nail at that point every little thing on it for you know, like the not just even the playability, but the you know, the viewer aspect and everything else. I mean, it's like this huge weird balance as far as esports go, because for you to really have proper esports, you need viewers, you need spectators, and so if that's not something the devs are already looking at, then they're not doing much to help an esports.
Here's the thing, though. Blade and Soul does have a fairly big Korean esports presence already with the game, and on our side of the oceans here, it's already teamed up with ESL. They're already sponsoring their 1v1 Cup and registration and things for that. I think they anticipate that it's not going to be like a League of Legends esport, but they're anticipating a pretty decent showing in the ESL, just like they have in Korea, where their last tournament, or one of their tournaments, it was like 2014, was a $15,000 first prize in a 1v1 dueling tournament.
Yeah, but they'll make an esport out of anything in Korea. They probably have Pong esports over there at tournaments.
Now that I could get behind.
Well, I mean, you know, it's basically ping pong, so, and
well, true. They're big on that, yeah.
So,
what else? Path of Exile is launching the Ascendancy update on March 4th, which, while technically not a new class, does provide new Ascendancy classes across the board. That's a pretty big update. Thoughts on Path of Exile, Mr. Winter?
You know, I gotta say, I watched the trailer for this, and then right after I watched the trailer for Devilian. I was like, these are both ARPGs, but one of them looks a hell of a lot better.
Yep.
And that's Path of Exile. It's really they actually were trying to show you the game rather than just sell you on some flashy moves by that character. And granted, they had more to show off. I really loved how the traps looked. Those look just devilish.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite features, is in some of the new dungeons that will change over time too. They're not going to always be the same every time you run them. The traps and the spikes and the swinging. I really like some of the ideas that they've got going here, and I hope they make that bigger.
Too. For any kind of PvE game that's basically about a grind, which is what Path of Exile largely is about grinding up the gear and, you know, doing these PvE dungeons over and over. Being able to do that, being able to randomize it on that level is that's what you need almost if you're going to have that kind of thing. That's why I was so looking forward to EverQuest Next, how their underworld was going to be procedurally generated, be different every time or whatever, and EverQuest Next. Well,
Q?
you know, the one thing I really like when they do stop. But when developers do add more class-related stuff, where they do, instead of just going, oh, here's a new class, where they actually give you something you can do with your already existing class, instead of just going and making an all-new character with an all-new class, or, I don't know, spending money or something to swap classes, whatever, like giving you the extra abilities of, here's more stuff you can still do to make your class better, is always awesome to me.
Very cool. So check out on the MMO Bomb website all the articles we have for those different updates coming soon, and let us know what you think of some of those updates in the comments below. We're running on against the time here, so let's slide over to the weekly bombs. See, Jason, you got a buy on that topic.
yeah, whatever. It wasn't that great.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to Q.
Yay!
Yeah, Q gets a dub bomb from me. I gave myself an A bomb last week. We'll give a dub bomb to Q for finding the Sega free pack on Steam for me and then posting it on mmobomb.com. Got some cool Sega games for absolutely zero. So dub bomb, Q. Thank you. Go ahead with yours, Q.
I'm actually going to give a bomb to Smedley for providing some of the best entertainment on the internet. And I'm not actually talking about the games here. I'm talking about his Twitter account.
Of which Jason decided he was going to chime in, too.
Yeah, I got into it a little bit with him, and some of my followers chimed in as well this morning, so...
And it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with him or not. It is still one of the most entertaining Twitter accounts you're going to read from a game dev.
Yeah, can't disagree there.
Jason!
I want to make it a 3-pack on the bombs.
All right.
It's such a positive week for us.
Well, that means all the viewer bombs will be A bombs.
They're all below the 3 A bombs next week because we hate everything. Or 2 weeks.
No show, 2 weeks.
To bomb to Total War Arena, they are ending their beta or closed beta, closed beta alpha, whatever it is. They're ending it next week, and the cool thing is that if you spent money, you will get that money refunded. Which for beta kind of makes sense. Closed beta makes sense. They're gonna go back to it and come back in a few months. But any purchases you made from that, you will still have. So if you spent money to buy 1,000 gold,
so I get to double dip, huh?
And use that gold to buy an elite unit, you will get your money back, and you'll still have the elite unit when the game comes back.
Oh, that's
nice.
cool.
And now I can spend that money on another elite unit.
They have shut off cash purchases now, so you can't get any more. But if you did it in the past, you'll get your double bonus.
Pretty slick. Yeah, that's worthy of a dub bomb. From the viewers, Penline says, an A-bomb to MMO bomb for refusing to talk about Adventure Quest 3D. I've mentioned it twice in the comments, but you have said nothing. Note, it was about 5 years from announcement to release for Guild Wars 2, so there may still be hope for EverQuest Next. Adventure Quest 3D is still in pre-beta testing, and we'll keep an eye on it until we have actual news to report. I'm sorry, I missed.
Now I'm going to have to look it up. I'm going to have to write an article about it. Let's see if I can find something to write about it today.
There you go.
Today, just for you, Penlion.
Go ahead, Q.
Vortex, speaking of updates about games no one talks about much anymore, Alaz is getting an update soon. Ducks in cover.
I probably should duck there. Jason!
I'm going to give it, this is from Nintendo. It gives an A-bomb to Edgecase Games, the developer of Fractured Space, for removing the Paragon shortly before I was able to unlock it.
Oh.
That's got to suck. You grind up 20,000 currency or whatever, and you got 19,500, and then they remove the thing you wanted to buy.
We're looking at you, Tryon World. I almost have my dailies done from my earring slots. Wait, what? They're gone?
Nintendo also gives a dub bomb to Fractured Space for being a pretty damn good game that was completely overlooked ever since its announcement. We've reported on it a few times.
Yeah.
I've looked at it and thought about getting into it and still might someday.
Toll Short says, "Da bomb to Sentinels of the Multiverse. Great card game. If you haven't played it, do so. There's a demo on their website. Played it for about 50 hours now and haven't even used all the heroes or played against all the villains yet. Interesting challenges to unlock variants of heroes or villains. If you like card games and you haven't tried it, then you definitely should." Toll Short, I thank you for that. I am going to check it out. You know I dig the card games, and I wasn't even on my radar. Q.
5000 CZ. After watching it, I actually revisited RuneScape. It still retains a charm that hooks me. Too bad once you complete all the free quests, of which there are only a few, there's nothing to do unless you sub, which I'm never doing. I will only do the pay once model at most.
Jason, and gee, I really spaced this one correctly.
Well,
because there's an A-bomb to Jason in here.
Well, screw him. Anyway, Frome says, quote, "You can't really fuck this one up, Mike Byrne, Tryon World's most optimistic client."
Maybe. That's me referring to how you can't really screw up the monetization for a game like Atlas Reactor. But
Dub bomb to Wargaming North America for their newly found sense of self-awareness and humor. It is always good when a company finally matures enough to be able to laugh at its own flaws. And make funny videos about it doesn't hurt either. I've been watching, I don't know about making their flaws, but I've been watching some of their little animated things for World of Warships, which are kind of cute. They're bad advice videos.
Oh, right. Shit, I could make a career out of that.
Hey, A-bomb to Jason. I'm a hardcore gamer, and I play my clicker heroes daily. Sure, it's not really a game, but it caters to the progressionist side of my gamer self. Ooh, you're a progressionist. You're like some sort of avant-garde gamer. Ooh. You pay attention to it here and there and feel that slight satisfaction as you progress further into the void. I've occasionally someone on my Steam friend list, pop-up says, is playing clicker heroes. I'm like, really? You are?
Unfriend.
Yeah, unfriend.
Joshua Knight says, "Da bomb to the fact that subscription games still exist. While I do play many free-to-play MMORPGs, my preferred payment model is definitely subscription. The reason for this is on the subscription model, I pay my month, and I have everything at my fingertips. No need to use the cash shop. While some good free-to-play game cash shops exist, namely Path of Exile and until recently Rift, me and my wife sat down and worked out how much I was spending per month on free-to-play games, and the conclusion clearly pointed towards subscriptions being cheaper, something all three of us have acknowledged on this show, on Twimo, and on other shows. Double also to Hearthstone for managing to keep me entertained until 1 a.m. while I watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine. My A-bomb sadly has to go to Star Trek Online. As a loyal Trekker fan, I was so excited when I played this at launch. I still now pop in to see how the game is. While the game isn't bad, it's not the epic Star Trek adventure I was hoping for. To boldly go where nobody has gone before, until you hit an invisible wall.
That's just a Q continuum keeping you out from stuff you shouldn't.
Nice
I wanted to
reference.
just say one thing though, because you brought this up when you were talking about your first thing in EverQuest, and
Yeah.
or whatever it was, Final Fantasy, whatever.
Yep.
And I thought the same thing. I was like, $60 a month plus 15 for a sub. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to pay my 60. And I'm wondering why there haven't been more free-to-play games that just had a sub, like free but a $15 sub. Because that would appeal to me if it was, a good sub, like the old thing where you get everything and whatever. But yeah, paying that extra $60 straight up to go in addition to that just bugs me. So I don't know why there aren't more that do that.
I'm going to go with they want to make money. Question of the week. Last week, will Gigantic make it to market? Why or why not? Deathlock says, question of the week. I honestly don't care if Gigantic comes out one way or the other. I played it, and there's nothing that really impressed me at all other than the gameplay.
It just played well, but other than that, there was nothing about it.
I'm trying to see if there's like a misplaced comma or period here. No, there isn't.
I guess he just means that he's not into the theme or the
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, other than the way the game plays, this totally sucks. All it is to me... Okay, so I guess this makes sense. All it is to me is a wannabe Smite with a Godzilla-type monster fight thrown in the mix. Motiga has slowly become the new Red 5 Studios. They didn't slowly become it. They did it overnight.
Well, there are no reports of any executives throwing chairs or anything.
Well, there's also no reports of any employees being there anymore. So
Red 5 is still the Red 5.
True.
Have they got the gigantic bus yet?
Oh my god. Q, your camera froze, but go ahead and take the next one.
All right. The Enigma. Unless there's a huge turnaround or investor, Gigantic will stop its development. The NDA was so long before they finally took it off, which limited his exposure compared to Paladins, which didn't even have one when it came out. That's because that's what Hi-Res does anyway.
Yep.
Having it be Windows 10, Xbox One exclusive didn't help. Well, that's because of the money that Microsoft gave Motiga. Exclusive didn't help, and if you're marked as a MOBA. Well, if you're not League, Dota 2, Smite, or Heroes of the Storm, nobody cares, with many of its competitors having since been shut down or a ghost town. But if you're a hero shooter, Overwatch has taken up the lion's share of the spotlight, followed by Paragon, Paladins, and Battleborn. Being a new team is daunting. Launching a new IP is hard. Being a new team launching a new IP that hardly anyone even knows exists is a crowded market, which isn't going to end well.
Yeah, there's not too much I can argue with there. I mean, it's kind of like it's self-inflicted wounds. Death of 1,000 paper cuts is.
Yeah, I still just kind of go with with what I was saying, is that they just spent too much on marketing too soon. It's like nobody cares if they don't know about the game.
Yeah, and
didn't
let the people that were playing it advertise for them at all.
Yeah.
I think, I said this actually recently in a post. For me, because it was actually the whole thing on Smite, or not, but Hi-Res, just kind of dumping, Paladins out there and going, okay, guys, we're testing it, changing everything every week. And it's totally they're really the only people who do that. Just go, we're going to literally build the game while you guys are playing it, kind of deal. Whereas Blizzard is okay, well, we're going to make a game that we could probably get away with releasing, and most people wouldn't know, and then we're going to put it out there for testing, kind of thing. But the whole announcing something and then taking forever to put it out kind of deal, especially when you're a new company, is just insane to me. I think that was one of the things that I think Tryon did really well when they launched Rift. They didn't tell anybody. They just went, here's a game.
Yep. Jason.
All right, Chris Baker says, for question of the week, yeah, I think Gigantic will make it to market. However, the better question is, how successful will it be afterwards? Well, with half of their staff disappearing, I don't quite see the game having a gigantic future. Insert laugh track here.
Oh, I'm playing a laugh track right now. Just let that Let that laughter die down there for a second.
I thought you meant you were like inserting one.
No, it was playing you just the way the
you wanted
audio.
us to,
No, the way the wiring. You can't hear it, but I was in fact playing a laugh track there. Frelms, question of the week: Gigantic Who? Sorry, couldn't resist. Question of the week for next week, or for 2 weeks from now: what was your first MMORPG, and why was it your first? So tell us how you got in to hopefully answer and add on to our viewpoints from Wilfredo Rivera's topic at the top of the show. Thank you for submitting the topic. If you have one you want us to talk about, throw it in the comments below with your dub-bombs, your A-bombs, and your first MMORPGs. Until next week, Q, where can everybody find you?
Floating around on Twitter at Quinlan, and kind of chilling over on Game Skinny. I'm actually finishing up a review on the Walking Dead game today. So.
Jason.
Hi, find me on the Twitter at Winter Informal, and my other writing stuff is something for a law firm, so you're never going to see it.
That might be interesting.
I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. Follow me down below there on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. Of course, come on over to MMOBomb.com. Check out everybody on the panel's articles, videos, giveaways, editorials, interviews, and all that fun stuff right over on MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. Until next week, 2 weeks, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.